Hi, this is Scott Garibay, and today we're going to talk about Dungeons & Dragons 5th Edition and the 5-year anniversary of Dungeons & Dragons 5th Edition, which we just passed, and what has been accomplished on the print product side within the Dungeons & Dragons 5th Edition body of work. All right? So, we're going to talk about some numbers, and we're going to talk about the good and the bad of what's happened on the print products for Dungeons & Dragons in the first 5 years of Dungeons & Dragons 5th Edition. So before we go a step further, let's celebrate. This is really wonderful. We are celebrating 5 years of 5th Edition, right, which is symmetrical, and it's really fun, and it's wonderful. And I will say right now, looking at Dungeons & Dragons 5 years in for 5th Edition, it's super wonderful. There's so much to celebrate. It's really awesome. You know what? Let me give you the flat numbers just to understand the scope of what's been accomplished in Dungeons & Dragons 5th Edition. There are 23 print edition products for Dungeons & Dragons 5th Edition. Truly incredible, okay? There are the 3 core rulebooks. There were 3 box sets. There was the starter set. There's the Essentials kit, and there's the Netflix Stranger Things starter set, right? There are 7 source books, right? Let me see if I can remember all the source books. There's, by the way, when I'm counting all the 5th edition 5-year books, I'm counting everything that's been announced up into that, right? So you have, I know the 3 of the 3. Let's see how many I can list of the other ones, right? Just for fun. So basically, you have Volo's Guide. Within the source books, you have Volo's Guide. You also have, you have Eberron and Ravnica. You have Sword Coast. You also in there have Mordenkainen's. You have Xanathar's Guide to Everything, and I think there's one, and Acquisitions Incorporated, and that's all 7 of the source books. What did we get on the adventure side? So there's been some really cool adventure sides. There were 2 Greyhawk books. There was Ghosts of Saltmarsh and The Yawning Portal, and then there were a lot of Forgotten Realm books. There was Out of the Abyss and Prince of the Apocalypse. There were, and then in addition to that, there were Storm King's Thunder. There was also Tyranny of Dragons, and I think that's most of the Forgotten Realms books. And then in addition to that, you had the 2 Waterdeep books. The Waterdeep books were Waterdeep Dragon Heist and Waterdeep Mountain of the Mad Mage, and Dungeons of the Mad Mage, excuse me. And then also you had Curse of Strahd, right, which of course was in Ravenloft, right? And that's the majority of it, right? So that is 23 print products, 3 core rulebooks, 3 boxes, 7 source books, and 10 adventures, right? Now, what is the shape of these products? Well, there's only 2 shapes of these print products. And this is really, I think this is a really cool thing that Dungeons & Dragons has done, which is, and actually, so you know what, before we go into the format yet, let's just talk a little bit more about just the celebration of where we're at, right? Just so you're aware, all right, 5 years is 1,826 days, right? That's a lot of days, right? 23 products put into that. That is a product every 2.64 months. That is a product every 79 days. One product in less than every single 80 days. Not even 3 months past, you got a new D&D product, new D&D product, new D&D product. That is incredible, right? Now, the reality is, I appreciate your patience. I'm gonna brag on Mike Mearls. I really think Mike Mearls is the second most important person in Dungeons & Dragons history. Nobody surpasses Gygax. It can't be done. But Mike Mearls has truly been absolutely incredible. He saved the game from 4th edition, but even more than saving the game from 4th edition, he has made Dungeons and Dragons incredibly stable, right? The people who work there aren't worried about their paychecks showing up. That has not been the case. That has happened several times in Dungeons and Dragons history, where this product that should always be profitable, the overspending has happened. He has taken a very, very lean team, right? And one of the things too is, like, when I look at the team for Dungeons and Dragons, right? It's not big. It's pretty small. You're talking Jeremy Crawford and Chris Perkins, and Kate Welch, and Mike Merles, and there's quite a few other people in there, and there have been a few people who have dropped off, right? Those are just the bright, shiny stars that I'm aware of. Satine Phoenix is in the mix now, right? These are lean teams, right? There's not a lot of people working on this stuff, but they are clearly working hard. They are really, really working hard and putting out great product at a great pace, and it's truly incredible, and it's very, very exciting. So what are some of the things that have been continued with Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition with the print products? Pure full color on every product. I think we take this for granted today. Now this did come out in I think every single hardback for 3rd edition, but this is the third. For 3rd edition was all color, 4th edition was all color, 5th edition was all color. I know this sounds strange, but I did start playing Dungeons & Dragons when I was in 1982, and I just remember black and white books, so it's just exciting that every single product is full color. That's really exciting. And there's just been a really, really steady pace for these products, right? But let's talk about the form factors, right? Well, there's only 2 form factors for all the print products, right? So let's talk about them. It's hardback, and actually at this point, let's shift into good and bad, right? So let's talk about the good and the bad of the first 5 years of print product for Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition, right? Well, every single print product is only one of 2 types of products. It's a box or it's a hardcover, okay? The boxes are pretty unusual. They sit off to the side. It is the starter set, right? Lost Minds of Phandelver is in there. And then it's the Netflix Stranger Things starter set. These aren't in chronological. And that's Hunt for the Thessala Hydra. And then you also had the recent Essentials kit, right? And I think that was a return. I can't even remember the name of the adventure in there. But there's an adventure in that book as well. Those are all soft covers, but those products are boxes, okay? And boxes have a long, robust history in Dungeons & Dragons. We only have 3 boxes for Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition. I do not take that for granted, and I think it's really wonderful that we have them. They're really special. They're wonderful. They're a nod to the game's heritage. They're a nod to the game's traditions, and they're really nice. They really are, right? So it's nice that we have them. Okay? All right. Every other product is a hardcover, and so 5th edition has continued the tradition of 3rd edition and 4th edition, and 5th edition is absolutely rock solid, hammering home the powerful point that Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition products come in hardcover, right? Hardcover. That is the form factor for Dungeons & Dragons. The premier product is a Dungeons & Dragons hardcover. And these are exactly the same size. They're the same shape. They're the same weight. They have the same feel as the book that were coming out in 1977 and 1978, right? Which was the original hardcovers, the Dungeons & Dragons 1E original hardcovers, right? With those terrible amateur covers, art covers. But the reality is, it's the preeminence of the hardcover. It's not a small thing. So that's one of the good things. That's, the elevation of the hardcover, I think, is really one of the best things for Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition. Let's talk about one bad item. To me, one of the worst things about Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition, now that we look back at its first 5 years, is the death of settings. Settings have fully died in Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition. All right, now, why do I say this? Well, one, it comes right from the mouth of the people. If you ask, if you ask the official people at Dungeons and Dragons, Mike Merle's team, what is the official setting for Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition, they will tell you it is the multiverse, right? So they're saying, hey, it is the multiverse, right? It's all the settings of Dungeons and Dragons. But now here's the issue. Here's why I say that settings have died. There is, in 23 print products made within the first 5 years of Dungeons and Dragons, right? When you look at, by the way, Descent into Avernus was, I think, the one adventure that I missed listing. Descent into Avernus. That's coming out in September. All right. Yeah. So we'll keep going here. All right. So basically, the death of setting. Right. Basically, there are no setting books. There are 0 setting books in Dungeons and Dragons. They are all specifically called campaign books, campaign guides, right? So basically you have the adventures, right? Adventures have settings splashed onto them like a spice, right? But the reality is those are adventure books. They're not setting books. So then you have the source books, right? And the source books are a collection of other, little books. Unearthed Arcana is in there. That's what Xanathar is. The Volo's Guide is literally Monster Manual 2. Mordenkainen's is essentially an NPC codex, right? And you do have Eberron and Ravnica, but these are campaign guides, right? So they're saying, here's a book that will let you run a campaign in this setting, but they are not setting books, right? And so Mike Merle's made this really distinct decision to not have any settings in 5th edition. I think it's the biggest problem that 5th edition had. It really did break from tradition. I'm not positive that Mike Merle's is wrong. And the reason why is, one of the things Mike Merle's did, he made Dungeons & Dragons stable, like truly stable, right? This was not a small thing. There were several teams that worked at TSR or Wizards, that worked at TSR minimum. More than one time in the game's history, people were wondering if the company was going to go out of business, right? And so the fact that he has built a system where he can build the game, everybody knows they're going to get a paycheck, he's keeping Hasbro happy, it's not a small thing. It's a really, really big deal, right? So, and the reality is, when the game has gotten in trouble, settings have been the problem every single time. Dungeons & Dragons has done this more than one time in its history. It has created too many settings, supported those settings to the point where they were cannibalizing each other, and allowed players who wanted to create their own worlds to be fully neglected and not get the books they needed. Right? It's a serious problem. So I think that's definitely the second thing I think that is the first thing I think is a bad thing for Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition is the death of settings, right? And the reality is, just so you're aware, if you look at the 10 adventures, like the setting worlds that actually have been visited within Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition, there's been a ton of time spent in the adventures in the Forgotten Realms. 2 of the books specifically come straight out of Greyhawk material. And you also, of course, we did visit Ravenloft. And we also we're getting Eberron, and we got Ravnica. Nobody asked for Ravnica. I don't know what that book was. It was just strange, right? And then, but then, think of the things that we didn't get. We never got Birthright. We never got Spelljammer, and I know there's been a few hints at it. We never got Dark Sun. That's a big one. People really wanted Dark Sun. I think there's a lot of love for that setting. It's just, and there's, there was never another Oriental Adventures. Like, there's just but the reason why I mentioned Oriental Adventures, there was a point where I thought that there might never be an Oriental Adventures again, but actually they just relaunched Legends of the Five Rings. I think it's on its 6th edition, and that book is very interesting. It could point a path to Dungeons & Dragons having an Oriental Adventures again. I think it, of course, would have a new name. But I think there might be a way for Dungeons & Dragons to get another Oriental Adventures in a way that is respectful to everybody involved, right? So that's a big one. What else is really good about Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition. The first 5 years of Dungeons & Dragons. No power ramp. It's pretty incredible. Actually, 3rd edition had a huge problem with this where they would put out books. They were excited. They put in some stuff in there that made it so that your character was going to be more powerful because you bought this book, and it actually used powers within books to drive profit because you wanted a more powerful character, so you had to get the new book. And honestly, I'm not sure anything listed in any source book or any adventure book is really any more powerful than anything in the core rulebook. That is incredibly hard to do. So overall, Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition does not contain power ramp. This is a really, really, really impressive accomplishment. I am wonderfully impressed with what Mike Mearls has done with this. It's really fantastic. All right, one more bad. All right, so we have 2 good, 2 bad. What else is bad in Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition? The Essentials Kit, right? Now, is the Essentials Kit bad? No, the Essentials Kit is amazing. The Essentials Kit is amazing. It is a beautiful product. It was masterfully executed. It was freaking 4 years and 10 months too late, right? We got an amazing starter set, right, in year 5 of Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition. Come on, man. That is not good, right? The Essentials Kit is fantastic. It's almost perfectly executed starter set, right? The starter set, which has been around for years, is not great. It's just not good. I don't think it really shows people what Dungeons & Dragons is. When you get it, you rub it on your face, it doesn't feel good. It's not a good product. I just don't really like starter set. And I think it's really kind of bad that Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition had its best starter box 5 years into the game. Come on, man. People needed that thing. It was not good, right? All right. I don't want to end on a bad note. I absolutely love Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition, and I have been personally wonderfully blessed by 5 years of Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition. Thank you to you, the community. Thank you to Mike Mearls. Thank you to his entire team. Thank you to Kate Welch, a late addition to the team, but really I think the future of the game. I think she's going to be design lead on 6th edition. It's huge. What's been accomplished for Dungeons & Dragons in 5 years: 23 print products, 3 core rule books, 3 boxes, 7 source books, 10 adventures. It's amazing, and I am thankful. Thankful to everybody who's been building this game. Thank you very much, Wizards of the Coast, for Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition. Thank you very much specifically to Hasbro Gaming for Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition. Please keep these books coming. I really am very excited about Dungeons & Dragons. I, of course, am very excited about Dungeons & Dragons 6th edition, which hasn't been announced yet, but we'll get there. Actually, right now, if you would, all of that is my opinion on Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition, the first 5 years of the print products. I would love to hear your opinion. What do you think? What's your opinion on what's been accomplished and what was failed to be accomplished in the first 5 years of Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition? What has been your experience with Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition for these 5 years, right? I'm sure it's quite unique from mine. Please let me know in the comments below. Please consider liking and subscribing, and have a wonderful millennium.